Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever believed about your limitations is false. Every boundary you've accepted, every doubt that whispers, "You can't," is nothing but an illusion, a fragile construct born from past experiences, societal conditioning, and inherited fears. What if you had never been told that certain things were impossible? What if every challenge you ever faced was merely an opportunity waiting to be conquered? Consider the extraordinary feats humans have accomplished. Acts once deemed unachievable but later proved possible through sheer belief and persistence. Think of the pioneers, inventors, and visionaries who reshaped the world. The Wright brothers, once mocked for dreaming of flight, took to the skies. Roger Bannister, once told the 4-minute mile was a physiological impossibility, shattered the barrier and paved the way for countless others. These achievements did not stem from superhuman abilities. They emerged from unshakable belief. How would your life change if you realized the only thing holding you back from greatness was your own belief? What if you understood that limitations are not realities but self-imposed barriers? This journey into the power of belief is not about fairy tale optimism but about real, measurable transformation, one that can redefine your existence. Let me share with you a powerful, life-changing story about the incredible power of belief, resilience, and the human spirit. It's a story of strength born not from physical power, but from unwavering self-belief. In a tranquil, humble village, nestled between rolling green hills and a winding river, 2 boys lived inseparably, one just 6 years old, full of innocence, boundless imagination, and an untamed curiosity about the world, and the other 10, slightly older, wiser, and often taking on the role of a guiding companion. Their days were filled with endless wonder, joyfully exploring the vast open fields, climbing trees that had stood for centuries, and running barefoot along the dusty paths of their village. Together, they shared not only games and adventures but also dreams and secrets, building a friendship that was as unwavering as the ancient oak standing at the heart of their home. They would wake up with the sun, their energy boundless as they darted through meadows, their laughter echoing through the morning mist. The villagers often watched them fondly, knowing that the bond they shared was rare and beautiful, one that would withstand time itself. As the seasons changed, so did their adventures. In the summer, they would swim in the cool, refreshing waters of the river, daring each other to dive from the highest rocks, their laughter echoing across the valley. They would spend entire afternoons under the shade of old, towering trees, crafting wooden swords and shields, pretending to be fearless warriors on grand quests. At dusk, they would lie on the riverbank, gazing at the sky, weaving stories about the constellations and the secrets they held. In the autumn, as the trees shed their golden and crimson leaves, they would gather them into great piles, pretending they were gold coins from a long-lost treasure, stolen from a dragon's lair. The boys built hideouts among the trees, their secret fortresses where they planned daring escapes from imaginary bandits. They would chase the crisp wine through the fields, racing against each other and the drifting leaves, always testing their limits, always pushing to be faster, stronger, better. During winter, when the cold wind howled through the village, they huddled around small fires, telling stories of knights and dragons, their breath forming misty clouds in the frigid air. They would fashion snow warriors, their frozen guardians, and launch playful snowball battles, their laughter turning the quiet, white landscape into a battleground of joy. On the coldest nights, they pressed their faces against the frosted windows of their homes, dreaming of spring and the next chapter of their adventures. Spring arrived with its scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers, bringing new explorations into the verdant forests. The boys would chase butterflies, their fingers brushing against the delicate wings, marveling at the explosion of colors. They would climb trees higher than ever before, reaching for the first blossoms as if they were trophies of victory. The woods became their playground, their sanctuary, a place where every rustling leaf and chirping bird seemed to whisper secrets only they could understand. Through every season, their friendship deepened, their imaginations flourished, and their spirits remained unbreakable. They were not just playmates. They were adventurers, warriors, dreamers, and brothers in every sense of the word, bound by the unwavering belief that together they could conquer anything. Through each passing day, they were not just playmates but brothers in spirit. They made unspoken promises to protect one another, to never abandon each other no matter the challenges ahead. They believed in each other without question, knowing that their loyalty was unwavering. They spoke of grand adventures, of future journeys beyond the horizon, of a world that waited for them to explore. Their bond was not simply one of childhood friendship. It was a pact forged through shared dreams, hardships, and the silent understanding that no matter what came their way, they would stand side by side. As they roamed the fields and forests, their trust in each other deepened. They faced the unknown with fearless excitement, whether it was venturing into the darkest corners of the woods, scaling the highest branches of the tallest trees, or testing the limits of their own strength in playful challenges. Every risk they took, every race they ran, every game they played, reinforced their belief that together they could accomplish anything. It was a bond so strong, so deeply rooted, that it felt as if nothing in the world could break it. They had faced every challenge together, each test of strength, wit, and courage only reinforcing their trust in one another. But life, as it often does, had its own way of proving that certainty is an illusion. One day, an unforeseen trial would push them beyond their limits, forcing them to confront not only the physical world but also the depths of their own belief. It would be a test of resilience, of faith, of whether their conviction in one another could withstand the unrelenting weight of adversity. And soon, their friendship would be thrust into a moment of unimaginable challenge, one that would shake the very foundation of their bond, and in doing so, reveal the true power of belief itself. From sunrise to sunset, they invented stories of mythical beasts, embarked on quests through the forest, and challenged each other to races along the river banks. They spoke of faraway lands, imagining themselves as warriors, explorers, and heroes, undeterred by the reality that they had never left the confines of their small village. They crafted wooden swords and shields, acting out battles against invisible enemies, their play fueled by an unyielding belief that they were destined for something greater. When they weren't running through the trees or practicing their swordplay, they would lie in the grass, staring at the vast sky above, pointing out constellations and making up legends about the stars. They whispered dreams of one day setting off on a grand adventure beyond the hills, traveling to lands they had only heard about in village stories. Each day was filled with endless possibilities, their imaginations painting vivid pictures of what the future might hold. Their companionship was more than just childhood play. It was a profound, unbreakable bond, built upon trust, shared experiences, and an unspoken promise to stand by each other no matter what challenges arose. They had an innate understanding that together, they could overcome anything, and that belief alone was enough to make them feel invincible. One sunny afternoon, their playful chase led them farther than ever before, past familiar paths and into a part of the forest they rarely explored. The sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting dappled patterns on the ground as they ran, their laughter ringing through the trees. They weaved between the towering trunks, daring each other to go faster, to take bolder turns, to run without looking back. Neither of them noticed the danger lurking just beyond the overgrown foliage, a forgotten well, concealed by thick, creeping vines and wild grass that had grown unchecked for years. The forest was full of hidden secrets, but this was one that no child should ever stumble upon. The older boy, leading the chase, took one last triumphant leap forward, turning his head back with a grin to taunt his friend. But in that split second, his foot landed on unstable ground. The earth beneath him crumbled, his triumphant laughter transforming into a terrified scream as he felt himself falling. The younger boy skidded to a halt just in time to see his best friend disappear into the dark abyss below, swallowed whole by the silent, waiting mouth of the forgotten well. "Help! I can't swim!" the older boy shrieked in panic, thrashing desperately in the water. At the edge of the well stood the younger boy, paralyzed by the sheer terror of the moment, as his best friend thrashed desperately in the cold, murky water below. His heart pounded violently in his chest, his breath coming in short, uneven gasps. Every instinct screamed for him to run for help, but deep inside, something stronger silenced the fear. A surge of determination flooded his mind, pushing aside the paralysis that threatened to consume him. His frantic gaze darted around, searching for anything that could save his friend. Then, like a beacon in the dark, he spotted it, a bucket with a rope, weathered and worn yet still strong. Hope ignited within him, burning away the doubt. Without wasting another second, he seized the bucket, his small hands trembling but resolute, ready to fight against fate itself. In that crucial moment, driven purely by instinct and an unyielding resolve, he seized the bucket with trembling hands, his grip tightening as if his very soul depended on it. With a surge of desperate energy, he hurled it into the well, the rope unraveling in rapid spirals as it descended into the darkness. "Hold on to it!" he yelled, his voice filled with raw urgency, echoing off the damp stone walls. His words reverberated in the confined space, merging with the panicked gasps and splashes below. He knew there was no room for error. This was the moment that would decide his best friend's fate. Time seemed to stretch, every second a battle between hope and despair. His friend's fingers fumbled for the bucket, his breath ragged and weak. The younger boy clenched his teeth, his muscles tense like coiled springs, ready for the impending test of his strength. He planted his feet firmly against the uneven ground, feeling the damp soil shift beneath him as he prepared to pull with everything he had. His arms strained as he began to lift, the resistance heavier than he had ever imagined. The rope burned against his small hands, the weight of his friend threatening to drag him forward, closer to the gaping mouth of the well. His legs quivered, his back arched, and his breath came in ragged bursts, yet he refused to let go. The pain in his muscles was excruciating, but the fire within him burned hotter, stronger. "I won't let go!" he cried out, the words not just a promise but a declaration of defiance against the overwhelming odds. His tiny frame shook, sweat mixed with dirt dripped from his brow, but he pulled with every ounce of strength in his body. The wind howled through the trees as if nature itself was watching, witnessing the sheer determination of a boy who refused to accept defeat. His vision blurred, his arms screamed for relief, yet he fought on. Inch by inch, he felt the tension shift, felt his friend rising from the depths. The weight no longer seemed impossible, no longer seemed beyond his ability. It was as if something unseen, something powerful, had awakened within him. The struggle raged on, an agonizing war between exhaustion and persistence. The only thing louder than his heartbeat was the silent, unwavering belief coursing through him. In that moment, he was not weak. He was not small. He was a force greater than fear, greater than doubt. And finally, with one final, desperate pull, he succeeded. His friend tumbled onto the grass, coughing, gasping for breath, his body trembling from the ordeal. The younger boy collapsed beside him, his chest heaving, his arms limp and throbbing. For a long time neither spoke. They simply lay there, staring at the sky, their bodies still trembling from exhaustion. The blue expanse above stretched endlessly, the drifting clouds offering a sense of calm in contrast to the chaos they had just endured. The chirping of birds returned, the wind rustled through the trees, as if the world had barely noticed the life-altering event that had just taken place. Their breaths slowed, their hearts still pounded, but the immediate terror had faded, replaced by an overwhelming sense of relief and disbelief. Then, slowly, they turned to each other, their eyes wide with emotion, disbelief, gratitude, and an unspoken understanding of the bond that had just been reinforced in ways they could never have imagined. In that moment, words were unnecessary. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Their friendship, already unshakable, had transcended mere companionship. It was now a testament to resilience, to courage, to belief in the face of overwhelming odds. And as they lay there, side by side, they knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Tears welled in their eyes, tears of relief, of triumph, of an unbreakable bond solidified through sheer will. And in that moment, they understood, belief had made them strong, and that strength had changed their lives forever. As his older friend grasped the bucket, the real challenge began. The 6-year-old boy, small and fragile, summoned every ounce of strength he possessed. He pulled with incredible tenacity, refusing to surrender even as exhaustion and pain began to overtake his tiny body. "I won't let go! I won't let go!" he repeated over and over, his voice trembling but filled with conviction. After what felt like an eternity, he finally succeeded in pulling his friend out of the well. The older boy tumbled onto the ground, coughing violently, his entire body trembling from the near-drowning experience. The younger boy collapsed beside him, his muscles aching, his hands raw and red from gripping the rope so tightly. Their breaths came in rapid, uneven gasps, their chests heaving with the weight of exhaustion and shock. For a moment, they simply lay there, staring at the sky, too drained to move, their minds struggling to process what had just happened. Tears welled in their eyes, but they were not just tears of exhaustion. They were tears of triumph, of disbelief, of gratitude. The younger boy, though barely able to lift his own arms, felt a sense of power unlike anything he had ever known before. He had done the impossible. He had saved his best friend when no one else could. And as they slowly turned to look at each other, they both understood, without saying a word, that their lives had just changed forever. Overflowing with excitement and pride, the boys sprinted through the village, their hearts pounding not from fear, but from exhilaration. They couldn't wait to share their extraordinary tale, to bask in the admiration and awe of their friends and family. Bursting through the village square, they eagerly recounted every detail, the moment of fear, the desperate pull, the triumph of survival. Yet, instead of admiration and praise, they were met with skepticism and ridicule. The villagers exchanged bemused glances before erupting into laughter, their voices echoing through the square. Some clutched their sides, unable to contain their amusement, while others simply shook their heads in disbelief. "Impossible!" they scoffed. "A 6-year-old pulling out a 10-year-old from a well? Absurd! He can barely lift a full bucket of water, let alone an entire person." A few of the older men smirked, nudging each other knowingly. "Children and their wild tales," one muttered. "Always eager for attention." Women murmured among themselves, their voices a mix of amusement and dismissal. Bless their hearts, they'd probably imagined the whole thing. Perhaps they were playing near the well, got frightened, and made up a story to explain their panic. A young boy standing nearby, eager to impress the crowd, chimed in. "I once saw a bird the size of a cow. Should I tell you all about that too?" The crowd burst into another round of laughter, the energy growing, sweeping through the village like wildfire. The boys' excitement, which had propelled them forward with such urgency, deflated like a punctured balloon. Their wide, eager smiles faded, replaced by downcast gazes. What had felt like a moment of triumph now seemed like a cruel joke. They had expected admiration, validation, maybe even celebration, but instead, they were met with rejection and disbelief. A lump formed in the younger boy's throat, but he swallowed it down. He turned to his friend, searching his face for some kind of reassurance. But the older boy looked just as crushed, his shoulders slumping, his fists clenched tightly at his sides. Neither of them had prepared for this. It seemed as if no one understood or believed their bravery. It was as if their victory had been erased, reduced to nothing more than an amusing anecdote for the villagers to jest about. And yet, just when it seemed like their story would be lost to ridicule, a quiet yet commanding voice sliced through the laughter. The boys' hearts sank, their spirits crushed under the weight of the villagers' laughter and disbelief. The excitement that had propelled them through the village was now replaced by a sinking feeling in their chests, as if the world had suddenly turned against them. Their wide, eager smiles faded, replaced by uncertainty. They had expected admiration, not mockery. They had expected to be hailed as heroes, not treated as if they were foolish children spinning wild tales. It seemed as if no one understood or believed their bravery, until a quiet yet commanding voice cut through the jeers. Uncle Frederick, the wisest elder of the village, stepped forward, his weathered face thoughtful, his sharp eyes studying the boys carefully. He did not laugh. He did not shake his head in disbelief. Instead, he took a slow, measured step toward them, his presence alone enough to hush the murmurs around him. With a gentle smile and knowing eyes, he silenced the doubters. "You're all asking the wrong question," he proclaimed. "It's not about how the boy did it, it's about why he could do it." A profound silence enveloped the villagers as Uncle Frederick continued, his voice measured yet commanding. No one was there to tell him he couldn't. No one whispered in his ear that he was too weak, too small, or too powerless. In that moment he was free from the burden of doubt, free from the invisible shackles society often places upon us, free to believe in his own strength without question. And it was that belief alone that transformed the impossible into reality. He let his words settle, his gaze sweeping over the gathered villagers. You see, the greatest chains we bear are not made of iron, but of the doubts we accept. We are told from childhood what is within our reach and what is not, what we can and cannot do. And so, we begin to believe in these false limitations, allowing them to dictate the course of our lives. But when belief replaces hesitation, when courage silences fear, the human spirit rises to achieve what others call impossible. That is the power of belief. That is the strength we all possess but so often forget. The villagers, for the first time, truly listened. The laughter had vanished, replaced by quiet contemplation. Something in the elder's words resonated deep within them, awakening a realization that had long been buried under years of doubt and conditioned restraint. The boy had achieved what they deemed impossible not because he was physically stronger than others, but because he had never been told that he was weak. And in that truth lay a lesson for them all. This extraordinary story illuminates a simple yet profound truth. We are only as strong as we believe ourselves to be. Self-belief is not just an abstract concept but the foundation of every great achievement in human history. It is the invisible force that fuels persistence in the face of adversity, the spark that ignites ambition, and the unwavering resolve that transforms mere dreams into tangible reality. When we truly believe in our abilities, we push beyond limitations, challenge the impossible, and unlock potential we never knew existed. It is this unshakable belief that turns ordinary individuals into pioneers, innovators, and leaders who redefine what is possible for generations to come. In the world of psychology, this phenomenon is known as the placebo effect, a powerful demonstration of how the mind can influence the body in profound ways. Individuals often experience measurable improvements not because of actual medical interventions, but simply because they believe in the effectiveness of a treatment. This concept extends beyond medicine, affecting every facet of our lives. Belief actively shapes our reality, dictating the boundaries of our potential. When we truly believe something is possible, our minds and bodies synchronize to make it a reality. This alignment fuels motivation, sharpens focus, and enhances resilience, enabling us to break through limitations that once seemed insurmountable. Conversely, doubt acts as a mental cage, stifling action and keeping us trapped in a cycle of hesitation and fear. The power of belief is not just a psychological trick, it is the fundamental force that has driven human progress for centuries. From great discoveries to personal triumphs, those who dare to believe in possibility pave the way for extraordinary accomplishments. From childhood, we unconsciously absorb limiting beliefs from the world around us, whispered by society, reinforced by peers, instilled by family, and echoed by educators. You're not strong enough, you're not smart enough, that's beyond your reach, they say, sometimes with good intentions, other times out of their own unfulfilled fears. Over time, these doubts harden, becoming mental roadblocks that confine us to a smaller version of ourselves, making us hesitant to explore the vast expanse of our true capabilities. What once was a single doubtful remark grows into a fortress of hesitation, preventing us from taking risks, from dreaming big, and from stepping beyond the boundaries imposed upon us. Yet, we hold the power to rewrite these narratives. The mind is not a fixed entity, it is adaptable, capable of evolving beyond the constraints imposed upon it. By actively questioning perceived limits, we begin to dismantle the mental barriers that have held us captive for so long. Reframing negative self-talk into empowering affirmations shifts the dialogue within us from one of restriction to one of possibility. Surrounding ourselves with positivity, whether through supportive relationships, inspiring literature, or environments that encourage growth, creates an ecosystem where belief flourishes. The key is to take action before doubt has a chance to settle in. Just as the young boy in the story acted before considering whether he was strong enough, we, too, must move forward before hesitation overtakes us. Procrastination and self-doubt thrive in moments of overthinking, but when we act with conviction, we bypass those mental obstacles. Small actions, repeated consistently, become the foundation for greater confidence, allowing us to break through barriers that once seemed impenetrable. The more we push forward, the more we prove to ourselves that limitations exist only if we accept them. Throughout history, numerous figures exemplify the transformative power of belief. Roger Bannister defied scientific consensus by running a mile in under 4 minutes, shattering what was once deemed an unbreakable record. His belief in his own capability, despite expert opinions claiming it was physiologically impossible, paved the way for countless others to follow in his footsteps. Elon Musk, continuously told that electric cars, private space travel, and human settlement on Mars were mere fantasies, refused to let skepticism define his vision. His relentless belief not only revolutionized multiple industries but reshaped the future of technology and space exploration. Oprah Winfrey, who was dismissed early in her career as unfit for television, overcame adversity through sheer determination and self-confidence. By rejecting the limitations others imposed on her and embracing unwavering self-belief, she built an empire that has inspired millions around the world. These individuals prove that limitations are nothing more than illusions, shattered only by those who dare to believe in the impossible. The boy in our story did not possess extraordinary strength, years of training, or any special advantage. He had only his unwavering belief. With no one around to tell him he was too weak, too small, or incapable, he acted with pure conviction. And in doing so, he defied logic, overcame his limitations, and achieved what others would have deemed impossible. Now ask yourself, what extraordinary heights could you reach if you silenced every doubt, if you ignored every voice that told you something was out of your grasp? What if the only voice you listened to was the one within you, the one that dares to dream without hesitation? Imagine the boundless possibilities if your belief, not your fear, became the compass guiding your every step forward. The truth is, you possess far greater strength than you realize. Your true potential awaits. Release your doubts and embrace the belief that you can. Your journey toward greatness begins the moment you decide to believe. If this story has inspired you, don't let the message end here. Take action, start believing in yourself, push past your doubts, and embrace challenges as stepping stones toward success. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. To continue learning and growing, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with others who need motivation to break through their own limitations. Expanding your mindset and increasing your vocabulary in English is an ongoing process, and surrounding yourself with empowering stories like this will accelerate your learning. Let's grow together and build a stronger, more confident version of ourselves.